Welcome to Dalligan Talks NRL. Paul, we're in the fifth week. It's very hard to pick a winner in the NRL at the moment, but you did get Big D's guarantee up. The Bulldogs did salute.
Yeah, after a mishap last week, I was going to say, Professor, it'd be easy to tip the stock market, but at the moment, it's pretty easy to tip that. It's down. Scared to check my super balance. That's all I got left. But it's just plummeting. Anyway.
Well, you're two from three, Paul. So you're at a 66% win rate. So that's pretty good.
It's almost a meatloaf song, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. All right. What I want to start this week's show with is no NRL matches in Sydney. There's two in Brisbane, one in Wollongong, two in Perth, one in Darwin, one in Melbourne, one in Newcastle. But we can't get one in the home of Rugby League, Sydney.
Well, for the older viewers, I'd say you'd think this week's round is sponsored by the Leyland brothers, but that's going way back there for the listeners. But it's an interesting concept. I don't know whether they thought it through to that effect, but what I do like is they're taking the game across to Perth. Well, a couple of games, in fact, across to Perth, which is, I think, great for the game, particularly if they're considering a Perth team, which they are. I think it's probably a much more successful venture than the American venture, which is driven more by betting and dollars. There's actually going to be a lot of bums on seats in Perth and a very, very keen crowd there who know the sport, not just out of interest, as were the Americans, and not many of those saying that. The American experiment was great for the game, great for those who go from Australia, but the locals probably a bit bemused, I'd say. But your Perth people, you could really convert some people to rugby league and get them excited for a new team.
How do the Sydney people feel, Paul? They'd feel a bit disenfranchised, wouldn't they?
Well, as we know, I think most of the viewership is on TV with the cost of living, and the crowds have always been lower than the AFL. So there'll be a lot of people watching these games, and I think with the Perth time as well, it's going to be good. It's going to be a great couple of nights of footy, or 3 nights of footy.
Oh, look, it looks like a terrific round, certainly.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that a little bit later. Now, the Eels, Zac Lomax, maybe missing up to 2 months with a broken foot. I see he's selected in the side for the weekend. He must be going to make a terrific recovery.
Well, he is, and that was quite a game to watch on the weekend. If you had told me that, well, maybe 2 years ago, but Zac Lomax playing for the Eels, but more so Clint Gutherson playing for the Dragons, I never would have thought that. I mean, they called him King Gutho at the Eels, so something's gone wrong there. That team, though, managed to scrape home a win with Zac Lomax starring at the end. So he would have enjoyed that against his former club, and he's a great player on his day, Zac Lomax. But more surprised, I don't know what happened with Clint Gutherson. He's the sort of guy you build a team around, and the Eels did that. So who knows what's going on in terms of recruitment? It's beyond us, Professor, with some of these decisions.
All right. Now, listen, State of Origin's only just down the freeway a little bit. Zac Lomax could be injured. Tommy Turbo with a knee certainly injured. Brian To'o also with a hamstring. How do the Blues stocks look at the moment?
Oh, well, it's actually, I've just had a look. They're both even $1.91. You can't get any closer than that, and that might explain why it's such a popular series. I was saying only a couple of weeks ago the Blues on paper look unbeatable, which I say most years, but it's going to be a very close series. I tell you what, it's going to be a great series. It really is.
All right, let's look at the last round. Started on Thursday night. The Raiders 24 got over the Sharks 20. That was an amazing effort by the Raiders, especially in the last 2 minutes. That final try, 7 passes and a kick to get across the line.
As good as an advertisement for rugby league as you'll see. Just brilliant to watch. And those Raiders, I tipped against them. Sharks, I thought, would make the grand final. I'm not so confident on that now. But at home, on a night game, the Raiders anything can happen. They could beat anyone. Anyone. You could serve the Storm at their hottest down there, or the Panthers at their hottest, and the Raiders could spring an upset in Canberra. So that was an entertaining win.
And certainly Ricky Stewart loved it.
Well, he did. I think he still found something to complain about afterwards. The referee not consistent enough for his liking. So that's his style. They love to play for him. He's very animated. He's great to watch. I'd struggle to name a more animated coach in any code in Australia. So I think he's good for the game, Sticky.
Now, I did ask you this last week, Paul. We had put a red line through the Cowboys, and my question to you in last week's show was, listen, if the Panthers lose to a team we've put a red line through, does that mean there's a red line through them? Well, they duly lost. Is a red line through the Panthers as well?
I think so. Well, I'd put a pink line if you can do that one. I wouldn't get the firm red out just yet, but to lose at home against the Cowboys, that was a wow result. And I think the dynasty's very close to dead, if not already. And it's very apparent how much Cleary is missing Jerome Luai. He can't do it all on his own. It's like Penn and Teller, that magician act. There wasn't just Penn or Teller. You take one away, it's not as magic.
Well, certainly alarm bells would be ringing at 1 win and 4 losses, Paul.
Well, they might have that dreaded rebuild word coming out, but it won't be for long with that Penrith junior nursery there. They're going to be back and running very soon. But the squad they've got this year, there's going to be some struggles ahead for the Panthers. So we'll see what happens there. They've got a tough draw coming up. So, yeah, so we'll see.
The Cowboys have won the last 2, so they're 2 and 3 now. Are we a bit early putting the red line through them?
Well, as I said, if you make it pink, it'd be nice, but I still don't think they'll be there end of season. They're going to be shaken up by Origin time as well. So we will see, but they're amazingly one of the form teams of the comp now. That's how unpredictable this season's been.
Your Rabbitohs, Paul, a big win over the Roosters. And what really surprised me is that the Rabbitohs lost both halves and still came away with the win.
Yeah, it's one of the better coaching performances of Wayne Bennett's career, one of the grittiest wins I think I've ever seen. The Roosters had that game completely in the bag, and somehow the Rabbits got home. So I don't think you'll see many better wins in Bennett's coaching career. What he's got out of that team with some of those missing players is just astronomical. Missing several players out of position, losing the halves. It was an amazing performance by the Rabbitohs. Makes me very proud to be a man of red and green. So,
question without notice for you, Paul, and we're very, they always happen on Sportsfan radio shows. Penrith at 15, 1 and 4. The Roosters at 16, 1 and 4. When was the last time those two teams took the second and third last places on the ladder?
That's a very, very good question. I think there's some real issues at the Roosters. They'd have to be the most disappointing team in the comp, I'd say. After that Eels win, they are definitely gone for the year. The Roosters, get your pen through them if you haven't already. I haven't seen a Roosters team struggle like this. I almost feel sorry for them.
Oh, yes, I laugh at you saying almost. Is Trent Robinson on the hot seat?
Oh, no. He's there forever, I think, if he wants to be. He'll get Sam Walker back in about 6 weeks' time. There's a bit of a dispute as to whether he should be rested, which is a crazy idea. But the Roosters will be back. Don't worry about that. And if they get Cherry Evans next year, they'll pop up in the premiership window with him there.
So on Saturday, the early game, the team that I said was the worst team in the NRL, the Parramatta Eels beat the Dragons 23-22. So what does that say about the Dragons?
Well, I was about to say, I wonder if our regular listener Kevin Yapp's listening in, because it might be ironic. I might have a better view of them than him, because that was a bad loss. But they're a very entertaining game. But it was a former Dragon who came back to sink the boot in, literally, Zac Lomax. So I think the Dragons, the pen through them, the Eels pen through them. So we're marking them off like fish in a barrel, Professor. We're getting rid of them.
Well, for the team that I said was the worst in the league, they've won as many games as the Panthers and the Roosters.
Which is amazing. I think the Roosters will finish low, so will the Eels. But, I think the Roosters will get a few more wins. Panthers as well with Cleary. They're too good a team. Starting this week, they'll rebound. We'll get to that very shortly.
All right, so the Titans do what they always do, Paul. They lull us into a false sense of security. We think they're good. The Dolphins, we'd put a red line through. Now, if the Titans had just lost, I would have said, oh, well, look, that's understandable. But at home, They were beaten by the Dolphins 36-10, if you don't mind, 16-0 at halftime. How does that happen?
Just it really shows. I think we had some false confidence in the Titans. They're a city of underachieving teams. We'll see how the Gold Coast Suns end up this year, but there's something about the Gold Coast that seems to have a curse on teams. They just can't keep it going consistently. I thought that Titans team would win that match easily against a fading Dolphins outfit, but what do I know?
Well, I must admit that when we say remember the Titans, what we should have said is remember the Titans always let us down.
Well, they're close to getting a pen treatment as well. We're a bit harsh this week on a few teams, but that was a shocking loss. And the Dolphins aren't that good. So there's something wrong at that Titans team. I don't know. It's hard to put a finger on it, but we'll put a red pen on it soon if they do that again.
All right, Paul. Well, you said that the Broncos were a special, and you were right. 46 to the West Tigers 24. 14-12 at halftime, so it was a game until halftime, but the Broncos just went berserk in the second half.
I think they win the comp, the Broncos. I stand by that prediction. That's getting firmer each week. The Tigers, gutsy, but just not enough class to compete with the Broncos at home. Just too good, the Broncos. They're a great team to watch. If you watch those Broncos and don't enjoy it, you've got something wrong, because they're such a special team. They really are good to watch.
Now, Adam Reynolds has got a dicky hamstring at the moment. If he can't play this weekend, any thoughts that they might not do okay?
No, I think they'll be all right. We'll get to the tips. They're playing against the busted Roosters, who have more injuries, so they'll be okay.
All right, so my weekly Giamat Shibasaki watch, another try for him. He's got 4 so far for the year, Paul. He's gone crazy.
He's burning up the track, is my mail. I was talking about that with a guy from work, Broncos fanatic, that he's talked about as an absolute gun. So I think he's a big chance at Origin, Professor. I'd like to see that name on the back of a maroon jersey, because he's good to watch.
Well, and this is from a guy who's got more clubs than Arnold Palmer.
Nicely done. He's got a brother as well, I think, that's been around. But the guy's found his form. I don't know what's happened, but something's clicked up there in Brisbane.
It certainly has. Now, Schooner's asked me to employ to explain how the Seagulls 24 lost to the Storm 48 at home.
Well, they're a divided team, and it's around one man, and he's entitled to do what he wants, but it's very hard to sell that to a team. I love yous all, Jeff Fennick style, but I'm off. So something's gone wrong at that club leadership, and it's very hard. I don't think they're united behind him to win the comp, which is what I predicted happened, and it did with the Storm and Cameron Smith, the Storm and Cooper Cronk. It's not going to happen with Manly. I'm sorry, Schooner, but there's some real issues there. They did meet a very hot Storm team, though, who was going to be challenging for the grand final up there. I'm very close to tipping them over the Sharks to get into the grand final against the Broncos, but not quite at that point yet, yet.
You did call the Stormers a specials, even playing at Brookvale.
Oh, yeah, it was get your super out stuff, whatever's left of it after this share market crash. That was very close to being my guarantee.
Now, Grant Anderson, playing as a winger, scored a hat-trick. Storm keep producing these players from nowhere.
Yeah, or getting players from other clubs that didn't go very well and managed to get the best out of them. So they're finding them, and they keep doing it every year. So they just need to perform at the business end time of the year, and they cannot have injuries. That's the key with the Storm. Any injuries to any of Harry Grant, Pappenhausen, Munster, or Jerome Hughes, most importantly. That's why they won, as he was back. Any of those 4 injured, they will not win the comp. I'll say it right here.
All right, Paul, 24,000 people at Accor Stadium on Sunday night saw the Big D guarantee get up, the Bulldogs 20, the Knights 0. Now, you did say, in all honesty, last week, Paul, that you did admire the Bulldogs' defence, and a shutout against any team in the NRL is amazing.
Particularly against a team with the likes of Kalen Ponga and Bradman Best. So very impressive. And I think they have the best stats in the comp, Professor, for defence. Very passionate crowd there too. I watched a bit of that game, and it's good to see the Dog Army up and about. Who let the dogs out? I tell you what, they could still be beeping their horns after that. Was a great win. very, very good win. And I think you're looking at a big top 4 chance.
Well, and they've got the bye this week, Paul, and Matt Burton's probably back the week after.
Yes, so they've been doing it without one of their best players, if not their best player, and Kiko as well missing. So this is a very good Dogs team. I don't want to put the mocker on too early though, Professor, because you've seen this before. But my word, they're close to best in show, with all dog puns excused.
All right, well, let's look at the round 6. The round 6 where no teams are playing in Sydney this weekend. Tomorrow night's game, the Dolphins playing at home, playing at Suncorp against the Panthers. So it's 14th versus 15th. They've both only won one game, so sort this one out for us, Paul.
Panthers are quite short for a reason, and that's one reason. Nathan Cleary, he will steer that team, I think, back in the winners list. I think the Dolphins, that I'm happy to put this out there. I think that was an anomaly, not the start of something massive for the Dolphins. Forgive the vacuum in the background there. It's professional radio here, as always, Professor. I think the Panthers will win that game. The Dolphins will give it their all. Panthers just too classy, even with their recent woes.
All right, the first game on Friday night at 6 o'clock, the Dragons playing the Titans at Wynn Stadium down in Wollongong. The Dragons, very disappointing last week. The Titans, equally as disappointing. Who's going to win the battle of the losers?
Anything could happen. It's bookies got Dragons $1.50. I think they gave it their all against the Eels. They might be a bit tired, the Dragons, and the Titans will rebound. But I'm sticking with the Dragons just over the Titans. I think the Titans can do anything, though, on their day, but the Dragons should just have enough class. Keep an eye for Lachlan Ilias, the halfback for the Dragons, ex-Rabbitoh, the most derided player in the comp. I really feel for him. It's not all his fault, but he's trying his best. Enough class in the Dragons to get home.
All right, Paul, the late game on Friday night, the Broncos playing at home. They're in second position against the very disappointing 1-4 Roosters. Is this another loss for the Roosters?
It definitely is, and it's too short. You know, I like to give some value with my guarantee. It's too short. They win this, the Broncos. They win it easily, but you can safely have that down as your tip for the week.
Now, Adam Reynolds is selected in the team at the moment. If he doesn't play, are you just as sure of the result?
Oh, yeah, they'll be okay. They've got too much firepower up front and at the back. The Roosters are just a beaten squad at the moment. They'll be tired after last week as well. That was a real old-fashioned derby against the Rabbitohs. Broncos easily.
All right, we head to Saturday and the doubleheader in Perth. The Sharks at 10th playing the Sea Eagles at 6th. Who do you like in that one and why, Paul?
Well, I don't just like them. It's time for the guarantee. Get the bell out. I've got one here. Actually, I might get this on each week. There we go. Get it on the Sharks.
Give us the guarantee bell.
The guarantee bell. You can tell your friends the Sharks will beat the Seagulls. I apologise, Schooner, in advance, but it's a done deal. The Sharkies, they're home.
And by what sort of score do you think?
I think 22-10. There's some real issues at the Manly club, and I hate to see it. I just can't see them rallying around Cherry Evans. There's something wrong there, and I think the Sharks will be too tough.
Well, self-inflicted wounds, isn't it, Paul?
Well, it is. They did exactly what South did with Adam Reynolds and paid the price for that in the short term. So I don't like it at all, what they've done with Cherry Evans, whether he's not told them or not. But you need to lock up your stars. Pretty simple, and they haven't done it.
Okay, we've got your Rabbitohs in the late game in Perth, Paul, playing the Cowboys, who we've already put a red line through. Is this another win for your boys?
I hope so, and I'm tipping them, but not with any great confidence. That Cowboys team is actually looking quite good. I don't know what happened early on, but I think the Rabbitohs just.
And so the final game on Saturday night are the Parramatta Eels playing in Darwin, a home game in Darwin. It's a long time since we've seen a game in Darwin, Paul, and they're playing the Raiders. I think the Raiders are in good form. They should win this, shouldn't they?
They should win at Darwin, though, as we've seen with the AFL, is a great equaliser because you're playing in a sauna, effectively. So you throw the form book out the window. We see some very unusual results in Darwin. We've seen some teams take their matches up there. I think it's the Demons, isn't it, your boys, that take it out there to get paid, or Alice Springs, I think it is, but they've had a few losses against teams they should have beaten. So that could happen with the league as well. that the Eels, it comes down to who's fitter, effectively, and the Raiders used to playing in the fridge, and they're going to play in the sauna. So we'll see.
All right, Paul, we go to Sunday's games, and we've got the Melbourne Storm playing at Amy Stadium in Melbourne against the Warriors. Second versus fourth. This is an excellent game, Paul.
It looks very good. I can't tell you how many times the Warriors have won as outsiders, and I've been there at Storm headquarters, but I don't think it'll be this week. That Storm team is firing. Wow.
Well, they've got all hands on deck too.
Pappenhausen, Munster, Hughes, Harry Grant. I can't find a better four spine in the comp. So that team is wowzers. You would be very nervous as the Warriors. They've got nothing to lose. They'll give it a shot. There'll be a lot of Warrior fans there, as there are every year, but no, they won't get it done. It's Storm easily. Sorry, Storm in a close one.
Okay, and the Sunday night cap, a very disappointing Knights team versus a very disappointing West Tigers team, Paul.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Knights have got about 9 players in, so and not too many massive outs. So with Ponga at the back, anything can happen. Sharp and Crossland 6 and 7, they're good players. I think that the Knights will win, but it's not with any great confidence. This is the sort of game, if the Tigers want to be contenders, this is the sort of game they have to win, the Tigers. So I think that will be one of the closest games of the week. It'd be great to watch as well. You've got the best young player in the game, Lockie Galvin. You've got Luai outside him. I actually think that the Tigers might win this as outsiders.
You think the Tigers will win?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Well, yeah, I was just about to ask you, will Jerome Luai coming back into the side be the improvement that they didn't have last week?
Well, I'm looking at that spine of Buller, Galvin, Luai, and Coruscant. That's a better spine than the Knights have got. Ponga's a standout player, but it'll be a good game, though. It'll be a good rugby league game against 2 very good teams, proud teams. So I'm looking forward to watching that one, actually.
Now, Schooner might have got excited. I've meant to mention this to you when we were talking about the Shark Seals game. Tommy T's back for Manly, but it's not Tommy Turbo, it's Tommy Talau.
Tommy Talau, yes. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens there. The player I'm most looking forward to is the Roosters halfback, Professor Hugo Savala, 6'4", if you don't mind. So it's the biggest half I think anyone's ever seen. So we will see. He can play the game, this guy, but it's not going to be enough to beat the Broncos. It's a baptism of fire for the big fella.
Well, it promises to be a great weekend in rugby league, Paul. And let's face it, the Big D guarantee is on the Sharks Sea Eagles game.
It is. Go the Sharkies, unfortunately for Scooter, but I've slapped it down. We will see.
All right, let's do it all again next week.
All good. Thank you.